Kavan here with a demo of creating linked records from a long text field. The idea we have here is, say I've got a form that's going to fill out where people will put their name, and then they will type in the names of children that will eventually have their own linked records, one name per line. Okay, so you'll be able to see that this form is going to create a record in this parent table, which currently has no records. And my child table currently has no records, but you can see it's got a link to the parent and a spot for the child's name. And the parent table, it's got a link to where the children can be, and this the text field here that those children will actually be filled in. Oops, I accidentally created a blank record there. And then there's also some formula fields that I will explain in a bit. So let's submit this form and watch the automations go to work that are going to create those linked records. Okay, so you saw that initially it got filled in with these here, and now each of these names are being moved from this list here to getting a new linked record created. This takes an automation run for each child record that is going to be created, and it takes a few seconds to get all of them to run. There you see, it's all done now, and now I have all of these linked records, one per line that was filled in the long text field. And you can see here they are. So let's talk about how the automation works. It's driven off of two formula fields. You might have noticed here that the long text field was filled in, and this first child to create formula field just extracts whatever's on that first line, and the remaining children to create is a formula field that takes everybody else that still needs to be created. And the automation is going to take that first child, create that child record, and then take the remaining children and move it back over into the children's area so that we have a new first child to create. Let's take a look at the automations. It takes two automations because the first one is going to kick off the whole process, which is when the form is submitted. So the trigger is when the form is submitted. And right now I have a conditional action which says if the first child to create is not empty, because what if they created and there were no children at all, then we wouldn't actually need to create any records. But the idea is if that formula field is going to show the first child to create has something in it, then we're going to go create that record in the child table, and we're going to link it to the parent by setting the linked record field for the parent to the record ID of the triggering record. And of course, put the name of the child is going to be that first child's name here. Okay. And then we're going to go update that parent record again. So in the parent table, that triggering record, we're going to take that second formula field, the remaining children to create, and move it into the children field, that editable field. And that's automation creates that very first child record. Then the second automation takes up from there, and what it does is it watches that first child to create field, and when it changes is when it's going to run. And then it says if it's changed and it's not empty, that means there's going to be another child to create. So this is the exact same thing that it's going to do. Create a record in the child table, link it to the parent, and give it that name. And then update the record in the parent record by moving the remaining children to create into that children record. So let me go turn off these automations so that I can show you the formula fields, because if I leave them on, everything's going to go wonky on you. So let me just see. So if we have children here and I say, you can see what happens here is the first formula field just pulls off whatever's on the first line, and then the second formula field says everybody else. Here's take a look at what these formulas are. There's multiple ways of writing these formulas. This is just one way that happens to use a regular expression. I like it because the two formulas are almost exactly the same. The only difference is going to be this one has a little $1 to say the first part of the formula. And this is the exact same formula here, except it's got a little $2 here, saying take the second part of it. But the regular expression basically says, hey, here's my first line, maybe there's a new line character, and then here's everything else in the text field. Okay. So the idea is the formula will set up this, and there's the first child's grade. That first automation run from the triggering of the form says, okay, let's go create Meg, and then copy all of these three into here, which then is going to update both of these formula fields. So the second automation is going to say, hey, this record changed. So go create the record for Joe, and then take what's here and paste it in over here. And then it'll watch this and say, hey, I've got a new one, so let's create this one. And then paste this one over here. And so on until after creating the last one, it'll take this one here, paste it over here, and then there'll be nothing left here. And so it'll all be done. That's the basic way of doing it. You can use this method to do other things, not just linked records, but basically a way of processing things one at a time. It is a no-code method. It does take more automations than writing a scripting automation. Scripting automation could take care of everything all in one action. But some people aren't comfortable with writing scripts, and they also need to have systems where the names of the fields could change. So there you have it.